Taiwan, an island democracy located strategically in the Pacific, finds itself at the epicenter of a geopolitical and economic conundrum. At its heart lies a single factory, a company known as TSMC. This facility, almost invisibly, underpins the modern global economy. But its significance extends far beyond market dominance. It has evolved into what many observers call the Silicon Shield, a critical asset so indispensable that it may be forcing the United States and its allies to protect Taiwan from potential invasion, not just for democratic ideals, but to prevent an instant, catastrophic global collapse. This is the story of how a semiconductor manufacturer became a trillion-dollar shield. Founded by Morris Chang in 1987, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, isn't a household name like Apple or Nvidia, yet its products are found in almost every electronic device. TSMC is the world's largest contract chipmaker, specializing in the fabrication of integrated circuits designed by other companies. Its technological lead is staggering. TSMC produces an estimated 90% of the world's most advanced chips, those below 7 nanometers. These are the cutting-edge components vital for today's most sophisticated technologies, from artificial intelligence to high-performance computing, making TSMC an almost unparalleled bottleneck in the global supply chain. The advanced chips fabricated by TSMC are the literal brains of our digital age. They power the iPhones in our pockets, enable NVIDIA's powerful graphics cards, and are fundamental to the vast data centers that underpin the Internet and emerging AI technologies. Qualcomm relies on TSMC for its smartphone processors, AMD for its high-performance CPUs and GPUs. Without TSMC's manufacturing capabilities, these tech giants would simply cease to innovate and produce at their current scale. The interconnectedness of this supply chain means that almost every sector of the global economy, from automotive to defense, is downstream from TSMC's fabs. This critical industrial concentration exists in one of the world's most volatile geopolitical hotspots. Beijing views Taiwan as a renegade province, an inseparable part of one China, and has repeatedly stated its intent to achieve reunification, by force if necessary. This claim, rooted in historical grievances and nationalist ambitions, directly threatens Taiwan's democratic governance and its economic future. The People's Liberation Army conducts regular military exercises in the Taiwan Strait, sending a clear signal of its capability and resolve to bring the island under mainland control, escalating regional tensions and global concerns. The thought of a Chinese invasion or even a blockade of Taiwan sends shivers through financial markets and government offices worldwide. The reason is stark: if TSMC's operations were to cease, even temporarily, the global economy, by multiple expert accounts, would instantly collapse. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo articulated this fear, stating, "A Chinese invasion of Taiwan would be catastrophic for the global economy." This isn't hyperbole, it reflects an unprecedented dependency on a single point of failure in a critical industry that powers virtually everything. To quantify this potential catastrophe, reports have attempted to model the economic fallout. A study by the Rhodium Group estimates the direct cost of a Taiwan blockade to be a staggering $4.4 trillion. Further analysis by the Boston Consulting Group and the Semiconductor Industry Association, SIA, warns that a complete cessation of Taiwanese chip production would cost the global economy over $1 trillion in the first year alone. These figures paint a grim picture of an economic crisis far exceeding previous downturns, with ripple effects impacting every industry reliant on modern technology, which is, effectively, all of them. The concept of the Silicon Shield was notably articulated by Morris Chang, TSMC's visionary founder, who understood the strategic value of Taiwan's chip-making prowess. He observed that this indispensability would compel international powers to defend Taiwan for their own economic survival. Taiwan's former president Tsai Ing-wen echoed this sentiment, describing TSMC as Taiwan's Silicon Shield. This isn't merely a metaphor, it's a strategic calculation. Taiwan's advanced chip industry doesn't just produce wealth, it produces a deterrent, binding the world's economic fate to the island's security. The complexity of advanced chip manufacturing is almost unfathomable. Building and operating a cutting-edge fabrication plant, or fab, requires billions of dollars in investment, often exceeding $20 billion for a single facility. It demands highly specialized equipment, most notably extreme ultraviolet, EUV, lithography machines supplied exclusively by Dutch company ASML. These marvels of engineering cost hundreds of millions each. Furthermore, the process relies on thousands of highly skilled engineers and technicians, operating 24/7 in a meticulously controlled environment. This intricate ecosystem cannot be easily replicated or moved. The notion that other countries could simply step in and replace TSMC's output is, according to industry experts, a fantasy. Replication of TSMC's advanced manufacturing capabilities in other nations would take not months, but years, potentially a decade, and would require hundreds of billions of dollars in investment. This timeline makes any swift recovery from a disruption in Taiwan impossible. The unique concentration of talent, intellectual property, supply chains, and specialized infrastructure built up over decades creates a chasm too wide to bridge quickly, underscoring TSMC's irreplaceable role in the short to medium term. The United States, despite its technological might, is profoundly reliant on Taiwan for its advanced chip needs. Reports indicate that the US relies on Taiwan for nearly 70% of its advanced logic chips, vital for everything from consumer electronics to supercomputers. This dependency extends critically to national security. The U.S. Defense Department has explicitly stated that approximately 90% of the chips used in advanced U.S. weapon systems, including sophisticated missiles and fighter jets, originate from Taiwan. This makes TSMC a direct national security concern for the Pentagon. Historically, the U.S. has maintained a policy of strategic ambiguity regarding whether it would militarily defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. This diplomatic tightrope walk aimed to deter both a Chinese attack and a premature Taiwanese declaration of independence. However, the profound economic and military dependence on TSMC has undeniably shifted this calculus. While explicit commitments remain elusive, the U.S. has significantly increased its military presence and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region, a move widely interpreted as bolstering deterrence against potential aggression towards Taiwan, driven in part by the imperative to protect the Silicon Shield. In an effort to mitigate this critical dependency and bolster domestic semiconductor production, the U.S. passed the CHIPS and Science Act. This legislation provides billions of dollars in subsidies and incentives to encourage chip manufacturers to build or expand facilities within the United States. TSMC itself has responded, investing in new fabrication plants in Arizona. These initiatives aim to diversify the global supply chain and reduce the concentration of advanced manufacturing in Taiwan, acknowledging the strategic vulnerabilities revealed by the current situation. While the CHIPS Act and new fabs like TSMC Arizona represent important steps, they are not a silver bullet. The Arizona fab, for instance, is currently planned to produce less advanced chips than those at TSMC's cutting-edge facilities in Taiwan, and it will take years to fully ramp up production and establish a comparable ecosystem of suppliers and skilled labor. Industry analysis suggests that even with significant investment, the scale and technological sophistication of Taiwan's current advanced chip production will remain unmatched elsewhere for the foreseeable future, meaning that the Silicon Shield will retain its critical, immediate relevance. For Taiwan itself, TSMC is not just an economic powerhouse but a cornerstone of its national identity and security strategy. The democratic government of Taiwan views TSMC as a vital national asset, leveraging its technological leadership to strengthen its international standing and gain diplomatic leverage. This industry is a source of immense national pride and a strategic pillar in its resistance against China's claims. Taiwan's continued autonomy and prosperity are intrinsically linked to the undisturbed operation of its advanced semiconductor foundries, making the Silicon Shield a deliberate, active component of its defense. The Silicon Shield presents the world, and particularly the United States, with an almost impossible choice. To allow China to invade Taiwan unchecked would unleash an economic catastrophe that most nations are unprepared to endure. The global collapse described by experts is not merely a recession but a fundamental unraveling of the technological infrastructure that underpins modern life. This creates an implicit, yet powerful, imperative for intervention, effectively forcing military powers to consider Taiwan's defense not just a moral obligation, but an act of strategic self-preservation for the global economy. As tensions continue to simmer in the Taiwan Strait, the Silicon Shield remains a potent, if uneasy, protector of Taiwan. It forces a delicate balance, where the very act of aggression against Taiwan would trigger consequences so severe for the aggressor and the world that it becomes a profound disincentive. Yet, the long-term stability of this arrangement is far from guaranteed. The world watches, knowing that the fate of global technology, and indeed the global economy, is inextricably tied to the security of this island nation and the advanced factories within its borders.